Hey, this is Bill from Calderwood Percussion, and today I would like to show you how to build your own drum using our DIY Build Your Own Drum kit. The only tool that you need is a small screwdriver, so if you've got one of those, let's get to it. Included in this kit is the drum shell, 4 rings which we will use to assemble the hoops, 2 mylar heads. There are 6 carriage bolts, which will be our tension rods. There are 6 washers and wing nuts to go with them, and then the small screws that we'll need to assemble the hoops and the heads. We're going to begin by taking one of the rings that has Calderwood Percussion engraved in it, and one of the rings that does not. We're going to use these to make our batter hoop. We'll start with the hoop that doesn't have any engraving on it laying flat on our work surface. Then we're going to take one of the mylar heads and lay it on top of the hoop so that all the holes line up. The next step is to take our hoop that does have the engraving and place that on top, again, lining up the holes. Once we're there, we can take the small black screws that are supplied with the kit and put them in these small holes. As you do, you can kind of feel the screw drop in to the hole in the hoop underneath. And if it's not, then you can just kind of wiggle these around a little bit to get it to be aligned properly. Now we can take our screwdriver and start screwing these little black screws in place. Now we'll repeat that same process with the other pair of rings. Now our hoops and heads are ready to go. To assemble the drum, we're going to start with the hoop and head that has the square holes. Those square holes are there so that when we put our carriage bolts through, they line up and they can't twist. So we're going to put all 6 carriage bolts through these square holes. So once we've got all 6 bolts in, and we go around to make sure that they're all seated all the way down and not sitting up on that square section, but all the way down on the hoop, we can take this and flip it over on our work surface. Now, we take our shell and place it in the center. Obviously, for this to tune as easily as possible, we want the shell centered in the head. But while we're putting this together, things are going to move around a little bit, so we really don't need to worry about that until we're putting tension on this. We'll take our other hoop and head and line up the holes. All right, now we can take our washers, place those on the end of each of our tension rod carriage bolts. And then add the wing nuts. Once we have all 6 wing nuts on, now we want to pick it up, double check that all the heads of the carriage bolts are seated properly, and now we're going to make sure the shell is as centered in the heads as it can be. So looking here, we see that the shell is way up against this side and there's a gap down here. So we're just gonna kind of push it around a little bit and get that as close to centered as possible. Again, this is really just to make tuning it a little bit easier. You could skip this step and it'll still be every bit as much of a drum. Once you feel like you've got the alignment pretty good, now we can start to tighten this up a bit. And bring the pitch up however you like. And there you go, it's a drum. All right, now obviously you can customize these any way you want. You can draw or paint on the shell or the hoops. You could add mounts to it. You could add snares to it. There's all kinds of things you could do. And in fact, we'd really love to see what you come up with. When you're done building your drum, we'd love it if you would send us some pictures, send us some video, you know, if it's used as part of some percussion setup, whatever you're gonna do with it, we're really interested to see where these things go. So I hope you enjoyed building this project and that you get some cool use out of your new drum. So thanks, see you next time.